What if I told you that the woman lying beside you, smiling at you, texting you sweet things, might have just given her body, her energy, and her intimacy to another man hours ago? I know that sentence alone sent a sting through your chest, and that's why I need you to listen closely, because most men never see the signs until it's too late. They assume loyalty, they trust blindly. They ignore the subtle shifts, the micro expressions, the strange emotional distance that creeps in. But women, whether they mean to or not, often reveal themselves through behaviors that are impossible to fake. If you've ever felt that uncomfortable gut feeling that something's off, this is where your clarity begins. Because I'm going to reveal the psychological tells, the signals in her body language, her voice, her attention, her patterns that give away when she has recently been with someone else. And once you learn to see them, you can never unsee them again. The first truth you need to understand is this: intimacy is not just physical for women, it's deeply psychological. Whether it was casual or emotional, her body and her subconscious registers it, and that energy leaks out in ways she can't fully control. Maybe she's more irritable with you suddenly, or strangely distant, or even overly affectionate in a way that feels forced, almost as if she's covering up guilt. Her nervous system is split between two realities: the man she shared herself with, and the man she's trying to keep believing everything is fine. You'll notice it in her avoidance of eye contact when you ask basic questions, or the way she fidgets with her phone like it's her lifeline. Women don't always confess, but psychology does. Men often miss these moments because they don't want to see them. Denial is comfortable, but denial keeps you weak. My role isn't to make you suspicious of every woman. It's to wake you up to reality so you stop being blindsided. Because every man who has ever been cheated on looks back and realizes the signs were right in front of him, glowing like neon. But he was too blinded by trust or lust to accept them. Don't make that mistake again. By the end of this, you'll understand the 8 clear signs, the hidden signals that separate truth from betrayal. One of the most jarring signs, and the one that many men fail to interpret correctly, is a sudden and unexplained shift in her level of physical affection. A woman who has just shared intimacy with someone else often experiences a temporary disconnection with you. Her body may feel less responsive when you hold her. Her kisses may lack depth, and her embrace may feel more like a polite gesture than an instinctive desire. You'll sense it not because you're paranoid, but because the human nervous system cannot fully mask where it has just invested its energy. Think about it. Intimacy creates an afterglow, a hormonal flood of oxytocin and dopamine. If she's just had that experience with another man, the contrast when she's with you becomes noticeable, even if she tries to play the role of consistency. At the same time, some women will go the opposite direction. They'll become unusually affectionate, suddenly showering you with kisses, compliments, or even initiating intimacy in ways they rarely do. It may feel flattering, but you need to ask yourself, is this natural or is it guilt-driven overcompensation? Psychology shows us that guilt often drives people to mask the truth by behaving in exaggerated ways. It's like painting over a crack in the wall. The damage is still there, but the surface looks fresh. If your gut feels that her affection is inconsistent with her usual behavior, you're not imagining it. That's your intuition alerting you that something is out of alignment. Here's the hard truth: your instincts are not wrong. Most men talk themselves out of what they feel because they're terrified of what that truth might mean. They tell themselves she's just tired or she's just stressed, when deep down they sense that something sacred has shifted. I'm here to tell you that your body reads micro-expressions, tone, and energy faster than your rational mind. If you feel her energy is off, it usually is. That tension in your chest, that unease when you look into her eyes, it's not weakness, it's awareness. And awareness is the foundation of power in relationships. So, when her affection feels either unusually cold or unnaturally warm, don't brush it aside. Pay attention. It might not be proof on its own, but it's one of the first cracks in the mask. And once you see that crack, you'll notice the others forming just as clearly. Another sign that cuts deeper than most men realize is how her relationship with her phone suddenly changes. Pay attention here, because the phone is the modern portal of secrets, and women know it. If she has recently been with another man, her attachment to that device will shift in ways you can feel. Maybe she suddenly keeps it face down, carries it with her into every room, even into the bathroom when she never used to. Maybe she angles the screen away from you, or her tone changes when she answers a message. These subtle behaviors are not accidents. They are defense mechanisms. Her subconscious is guarding what she doesn't want you to see. On the flip side, she might swing to the opposite extreme, leaving her phone lying around in plain sight, unlocked, as if to prove her innocence. But here's the trick. Psychology calls this a reverse signal. It's when someone tries so hard to appear open that it actually betrays the fact they're hiding something. She wants you to notice the transparency, so you stop questioning her altogether. It's like a magician's trick. While you're looking where she wants you to look, the real act is happening somewhere else. And if you ignore that instinct, you'll miss the whole performance. Another subtle cue is timing. If she becomes more protective of her notifications, if messages suddenly come at odd hours, or if she steps out to take a call she claims is nothing important, don't dismiss it. Women are masters at rationalizing these shifts. They'll tell you, "I just needed space," or "it's just my friend." But the point is not the excuse, it's the change in the pattern. Human beings thrive on consistency, and when that consistency breaks without explanation, it's rarely random. Men often downplay these details because they fear appearing insecure. But let me be brutally honest. Ignoring red flags doesn't make you secure, it makes you blind. Confidence is not pretending everything is fine. Confidence is trusting your perception enough to confront reality. If her behavior around her phone suddenly feels like a performance, you're not crazy for noticing. It's not about paranoia, it's about pattern recognition. Women reveal their inner world through what they protect and what they suddenly expose. And if her phone behavior doesn't match the woman you knew before, understand that it's not just a glitch. It's a window into something she doesn't want to admit. One of the most revealing signs isn't found in her phone, her kisses, or even her body language. It's in the way she communicates with you when she thinks you're not paying close attention. Women who have recently given themselves to another man often shift in their tone, their rhythm of conversation, and the depth of their words. You'll notice she might become unusually short with you, her replies reduced to bare minimums, as though her emotional energy has already been spent elsewhere. Or the opposite, she may become excessively talkative, trying to fill the silence with noise because silence is where guilt becomes deafening. Either extreme is unnatural. The real clue lies in how different it feels compared to her normal self. Listen to the subtle hesitations in her voice when she talks about her day, the pauses, the slight tremor when you ask her direct questions. Psychology calls these micro-hesitations, tiny delays that reveal the brain is filtering truth. A woman who has nothing to hide speaks in flow, her mind doesn't need to edit reality. But a woman carrying secrets edits constantly, even if she doesn't realize it. You'll hear it in the way she repeats herself, over-explains simple things, or tries too hard to convince you of something that should be self-evident. That's not clarity, that's her subconscious leaking. Another critical point is how she uses your name. When a woman is deeply connected to you, she uses your name naturally affectionately. When she's drifting, her use of your name may decrease, replaced with generic terms, or she may suddenly overuse pet names to keep you emotionally pacified. This isn't random. Language is a mirror of intimacy. A shift in how she calls you is a shift in how she feels you. Men often ignore these shifts because they think they're small things, but relationships are built on small things. The big betrayals never happen in isolation. They're preceded by dozens of tiny fractures in tone, in words, and silences. A wise man doesn't wait for proof written in stone. He learns to hear the cracks forming in her voice, the weight behind her pauses, the inconsistency in her flow. Because once you learn to listen, not just to what she says, but to how she says it, you'll recognize when her soul is no longer fully with you. Watch her eyes. The eyes are where the truth escapes, no matter how carefully the lips perform. When a woman has recently been with another man, her gaze towards you changes in ways most men overlook. Maybe she avoids holding your eyes too long as if afraid you'll see something she doesn't want to reveal. Maybe she looks at you but blinks more often, her nervous system betraying the guilt she's trying to conceal. Or strangely, she might hold eye contact longer than usual. Too long because she's overcompensating, trying to prove her innocence by locking you in. Either way, it feels off because authenticity in the eyes cannot be faked. Another powerful cue is the spark or the lack of it. If you've shared intimacy before, you know what it feels like when she looks at you with desire, softness, or admiration. Now compare it to when her gaze feels duller, distracted, or as if she's looking through you rather than into you. That shift isn't random. Psychologically, when someone has just given that intimate gaze to another person, it leaves an imprint, and that imprint is visible in how much light, warmth, or focus they can offer you. You may also notice micro-expressions, tiny flashes of emotion that disappear almost instantly, a quick smirk, a darting glance, or a flicker of discomfort when you ask a simple question. These expressions bypass conscious control, revealing the truth faster than words ever could. Most men ignore them, but those who train themselves to notice will never be fooled again. Here's another subtle truth. Women who are hiding intimacy elsewhere often avoid eye contact during moments that should feel natural. For example, when you compliment her, does she meet your eyes with gratitude or does she glance away as if she can't fully accept it? When you try to share closeness, does she let her eyes linger with you or does she break the connection quickly? Eyes are windows into congruence. If her words say one thing but her gaze tells another, trust the gaze. Understand this. You don't need to accuse her or become paranoid. The point is not to interrogate, but to awaken. Once you notice her eyes behaving in ways that don't align with her past patterns, you've uncovered one of the most primal indicators of divided intimacy. Because the body can lie, the mouth can lie, but the eyes will always tell on the soul. Now pay attention to her routines, because when a woman has given herself to another man, her patterns will almost always betray her. Human beings are creatures of habit, and women especially thrive on emotional consistency. When those routines suddenly shift without a clear reason, it's rarely accidental. Maybe she used to call you after work every evening, and now those calls come later or not at all. Maybe her mornings suddenly start earlier, her nights end later, or her weekends are mysteriously busy. What matters isn't the excuse she gives. What matters is that her rhythm with you has been disrupted. Here's the psychological principle. When someone is investing energy into a new source of stimulation, their old patterns naturally weaken. She may still be physically present with you, but her time and emotional investment start leaking elsewhere. Even if she doesn't admit it, her subconscious will expose the truth through changed habits. And men who are awake to this no longer live in denial. Another detail, pay attention to how she prepares herself. Does she suddenly dress with more intention, put on makeup in ways she never did before, or become overly protective of her appearance when going out alone? She may even fight it, but her subconscious can't split itself cleanly between two men. Something always shifts. You'll feel it in the way she listens to you, or more accurately, the way she doesn't. Her eyes drift more, her responses feel rehearsed, and her emotional investment in your conversations drops. Another powerful cue, arguments. Women carrying guilt often pick unnecessary fights. Why? Because it creates distance and justifies the inner betrayal. If she convinces herself that you're annoying or always starting something, it temporarily quiets the voice in her head that whispers, she's the one breaking the bond. This is why you might notice random irritability, short tempers, or emotional coldness for no real reason. It's not about the dishes or the messages you didn't reply to. It's about the weight she's carrying inside and the need to push you away so she doesn't have to face it. Here's what most men misunderstand. Emotional withdrawal isn't always about anger or distance. Sometimes it shows up as fake harmony. She might agree with you too easily, avoid conflict altogether, or seem overly chill about things she used to care about. That's not random. When a woman has been recently desired by someone else, her relationship with her own body shifts. She becomes more conscious of how she presents herself, not necessarily for you, but because she's either replaying another man's attention or anticipating more of it. You'll notice it in the extra time spent in front of the mirror, in her scent, in how she guards her clothes and belongings more carefully than usual. Men often ignore these shifts, writing them off as she's just changing. But change always has a cause. Ask yourself, did this change come naturally or did it appear abruptly? Did it align with a new job, a new lifestyle, a new stress, or does it feel like it came out of nowhere? Sudden, unexplained disruptions are where the truth hides. Understand something vital. Betrayal doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It slips quietly into the details. A missed call here, a late night there, an extra hour getting ready for errands. None of these things alone are proof, but when they form a pattern, the story reveals itself. And if you're courageous enough to see it, you'll recognize that these small fractures in her routine are the echoes of another presence in her life. One of the most powerful and painful signs is emotional withdrawal. When a woman has recently given herself to another man, her emotional connection with you becomes inconsistent, fragmented, and strangely hollow. You'll notice it in the little moments when you share something personal and she responds with less enthusiasm than before. When she no longer laughs as effortlessly at your jokes, or when her warmth feels like it's being rationed instead of freely given. It's not always obvious at first, it's subtle. Like the light dimming in a room you've lived in so long you don't notice how dark it's become. Psychologically, this happens because intimacy isn't just physical, it's an exchange of emotional energy. When that exchange occurs with someone else, the bond with you weakens. She may not intend it,